们、先生们，有请美国消费技术协会总裁兼首席执行官盖瑞·夏佩罗先生。Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Gary Shapiro, President and CEO, Consumer Technology Association.
Thank you very much and welcome to day 2 of CES Asia, the most exciting place to be on the planet this week. And I am so pleased to introduce to you our entertainment keynote featuring La Vision Pictures. La Holdings sits at the intersection of entertainment and technology. It's headquartered in China, but it's actually very closely linked to Hollywood. La Holding is committed to being a next-generation technology company. It merges devices and content into one seamless experience. And there are 2 very special guests with us today to talk about their experiences and their insights and strategies around the business of film, media, and technology. La Holding Vice Chairman and La Vision Pictures Chairman and CEO, Zhang Zhou, or ZZ, helped globalize the Chinese film industry. He founded 2 of China's biggest private sector studios. He has been named one of the top China power players in entertainment by the world-known Hollywood Reporter. And in 2006, ZZ founded Enlight Pictures and served as president. In 2011, he left Enlight Pictures and set up La Vision Pictures, becoming chairman and CEO. And since its founding, La Vision Pictures has distributed over 100 films. Also with us, Adam Goodman, who is president of La Vision Entertainment. He joined La Vision Entertainment after it acquired his company Dichotomy Micro Studios. La Vision Entertainment will finance feature-length projects and distribute on a range of platforms. Focusing on large-scale global films and innovative micro-budget pictures. What an amazing company. Now, previously, Adam was president of Paramount Pictures, Motion Pictures Group, and Steven Spielberg's DreamWorks Studios. He helped develop global film franchises, including some of the best-known films in history: Transformers, Mission Impossible, Star Trek. This was Adam. Under his stewardship, both DreamWorks and Paramount enjoyed their highest grossing years ever in 2007 and 2011. And to moderate this all-star cast, we have Max Michael, Head of Asian Business Development for United Talent Agency. Michael is responsible for growing the agency's regional presence and talent and literary representation, online and social media, licensing, branding, endorsements, film financing, and production. Michael is also an agent in UTA's Motion Picture Literary Department, where he represents established and emerging feature writers and directors. Please welcome Adam Goodman, Zhang Zhou, and Max Michael to the stage, ladies and gentlemen. A nice, warm welcome. Thanks, Bill.
Thanks everybody for coming. We have a really great lineup, as Gary already highlighted. We're just going to dive right in. So, I think what's really interesting about both of you is that you come from traditional media, traditional film studios. ZZ from Enlight Pictures in China, and Adam from Paramount Pictures in Hollywood. And both of you are now at La Vision, which is really at the forefront of the merger of technology and entertainment. What drew you to make that change, and what drew you to La Vision as a company that you're now with? Adam, why don't you start?
I'll start. A lot of it happens to be this handsome gentleman sitting next to me in ZZ and his vision, mainly because he thinks different, and the company approaches entertainment from an entirely different perspective than the Hollywood model. Everything from the way in which they source IP, from the way in which they take advantage of the distribution channels, from the way in which they market their movies. There's an opportunity to innovate under this kind of leadership that in Hollywood, because the business is so well established and so mature, it was frustrating because it was difficult to turn the ship when the ship was an 80-ton piece of equipment. And when you're coming to a company like this where they're able to move on a moment's notice, it becomes inspiring simply because the future is the opportunity as opposed to the past. So I think I was inspired by leadership and I was inspired by innovation, and those two things are a good bet to basically attract the best talent in the world.
Well, back in the 90s, early 90s, when I was a film student in the United States, I think I remember whatever changed in the United States, which is, a lot of film companies acquired by studios, by 20th Century Fox was acquired by News Corp and all that. So I always have this idea to say, all right, we're in the entertainment business or content business, but we're part of the technology, media, and telecommunication. So this is the perspective that I have in mind. But when I come back to China in the middle of the 90s, Chinese entertainment industry, not an industry yet, we call it entertainment industry, which is very much separate from this TNT concept. So when I founded my first company, Inline Pictures, start doing distribution and doing marketing and start making movies, sort of trying to build up a studio. I still only have all these Hollywood studios in mind as my, my vision. I wanted to be a studio. But after a while, you sort of find out, okay, all the studios, even American studios, are having trouble to stay as a separate, industry, which is content industry. Then I start to think, remember how all these studios, Hollywood, how did they take over the world? Which is really by merging into this TNT, era. Everybody knows that every Hollywood studio is owned by a media group, right? Every one of them. So I think probably the opportunity for Chinese entertainment industry is to put us back to the perspective of TNT. That's how I started my second company, which is Television. I choose to build up a studio with a video streaming, which is LED TV, 乐视网, and the Leico, which is technology. That's how I, go back to.
Adam, you mentioned being drawn to Television because of ZZ. What were the things that since then you've learned from ZZ and from the Chinese market that maybe you didn't know coming from Hollywood? And ZZ, what did you learn from Adam about from Hollywood, from that perspective that has helped you to grow in terms of the Chinese market?
Well, I've learned a lot. I've learned in many ways seeing our business from his angle and the lens is very frustrating and embarrassing at points, simply because everything takes too long in Hollywood, everything costs too much in Hollywood. There's always a good excuse for why we can't do something. And then I look at what they've accomplished in such a short period of time. There's no excuses, there's no precedent, it's just do it. and that's inspiring to be around. Our business is at a point where technology is omnipresent and obviously is a critical part of what we do every single day, and yet we're so slow to embrace it, and we're always on sort of the wrong end of reading about how it's going to affect our industry. And then you come to work at a company like this and you realize this is the bar. This is what all companies are driving towards. ZZ's created something that is really unusual. There's nothing like it, certainly in Hollywood, and I think it's safe to say in the world, which is he has an offline distribution platform. He's a very robust marketing and distribution company in LaVision Pictures, but then he also has the online service in the kind of membership basis. And so to be able to be Netflix plus a studio like Paramount combined, it's a lethal weapon. So it's inspiring and it's fun to be around that kind of innovation.
Oh yeah, it's funny because I wanted to share a little bit story of how do I try to start I call it internet studio or called connected studio. It was back in 2010, okay, and everybody knows that back then the Chinese film industry box office going up rapidly and everything. Wow, we're gonna surpass Hollywood in 5 years, and a lot of those kind of excitement going on. And we had an annual conference back in Hainan, and I still remember 2010. There's a 6 or 7 movie company bosses, okay, sit in front, and about hundreds of filmmakers sit down, and everybody's saying, all right, we have the money and we got a box office and theater grows rapidly, so you guys go ahead and make more movies, and everybody's excited. And that kind of situation is really worries me because the day before I was in Hong Kong. Okay, I stayed in the hotel and read the magazine. The news is an analysis about why IBM sold his profitable PC business to Lenovo. It's a very serious article. So it was raining, and in Hong Kong, I couldn't get a chance to carry on the meeting that I supposed to. And it really was a shock. Okay. Basically, it was saying that IBM trying to turn themselves back into a service business, no longer a hardware business. And their PC business is still making money. Or Lenovo was trying to be the #1 PC manufacturer in the world. So these two guys made a perfect deal. But one guy wanted to be the #1 biggest hardware PC company in the world, and the other one is say, all right, I'm going to turn myself into a service company. That's the difference. Now, this is about 7 years ago. Look at today. Where's IBM? Where's Lenovo? And I was shocked when I read the article. I started thinking, oh, okay. Is movie business a manufacturing business? Probably yes. The movies are more expensive, more like big sets and all these kind of things. But am I worried? Maybe I should start thinking how the movie business can turn ourselves back into a service business. If it's a service business, then it's a very much customer-driven business, right? Not about making the movie, but about how to serve our audience. So that was the afternoon. I still remember in Hong Kong. I stayed in the Shangri-La Hotel and locked in because it was pouring raining, and I have to read something. That's why worries me. That's why I wanted to leave the company I created, LaVision Pictures, and find a new company. I realized probably the future of this content business is about Internet Plus. We have to really to be the one who plus by internet. Right? That was the beginning of 2011.
Right.
That's why I sold my previous company and started to create a new one to find an internet company, a content-related internet company, LETV, and perform innovation. And then we start to manufacturing smart TVs, smartphones, and now we're still struggling to try to make smart cars. I think we're on the way. Okay, try to put together internet streaming technology and hardware technology and content together. See if we can really put us back on TNT.
So, and that's a really interesting kind of segue because, here we're at the Consumer Electronics Show. Obviously, technology is influencing all of these different businesses that we all come from. How do you guys see technology influencing the way that you're creating content? Are there changes that you've noticed in the way that it's made?
Talk about that content.
Yeah, it's inspiring. We were talking at lunch just before this, and you walk through the floor of a show like this and you realize that content is the key for all this great innovation and product. It needs this type of storytelling running through its systems. So I have no concern about the value of content moving into the future, but I have grave concerns about the way in which content is consumed. I grew up in a business where it was only about serving the big screen. And it's really because of the theatrical movie experience has become, it's still, in my opinion, arguably the best and the most fun and has the most majesty in terms of the process of it, but it's not right for everything. And it doesn't make a lot of sense when my television at home is as well suited to watch a certain type of movie as a movie screen in a movie theater is. So you have to really kind of address it and be conscious of the fact that it's changing. And the movie business, while we deploy an extraordinary amount of technology and creative artists in making what we make, the fact of the matter is that our entire production technique is based on shooting on film, actually shooting on a filmed piece of celluloid that gets sent to a laboratory, processed, and sent back to the filmmakers to take a look at it and to make changes to it. And yet the reality is we haven't shot on film for many years, except our workflow, our entire process still honors this film approach. We have a production period and we have a post-production period. This is a legacy of when we used to have to wait for the film, the rushes to come back from the laboratory. So we're really trying, and again, it's not right for all movies, but we're really trying to make the creation of our product to be integrated with the audience in the production stage of it. So we make a movie, but we're really making a movie for the internet. We're not making a movie for a theatrical distribution window. We're making a movie for streaming platforms, television platforms, the internet. And only if the movie is strong enough, only if an audience adopts us, discovers us, and swears by us, do we continue to invest in it to ultimately go to the big screen. So we shoot for 20 days, we test the movie, we take the feedback back from the audience, and we go back into production. So we don't make something and then fix it in post-production. We make it, we test it, we take the audience's feedback, we go back into production, we improve the project that we're working on. And if it's good enough, then ultimately we'll go to the big screen for it. And if it's not great, it doesn't mean it's bad, it just means it may not be worthy of the marketing spend to go into a theatrical release. So we're really trying to use the digital workflow to our advantage and acknowledge the business that we're in today, which is a digital era, and really take advantage of redefining the production technique, not honoring a legacy of how things were done, but instead trying to create a new paradigm and talk about how things should be done. Again, on the floor with the drones and the camera stabilization systems and all the delivery methods and everything that I was walking around and seeing. It's inspiring because anybody can create and anybody can distribute. And the only thing that separates us from anyone else is just simply a platform. And I think that platform now becomes very equal as we move on. So it's a really inspiring time.
You bring up an interesting thing when you said the different screens and watching in your living room versus the big screen TV. And Zizi, you were talking earlier about the different locations that people watch things. And some people, there's a big difference between what you may watch in a movie theater, what you may watch in your living room, what you may watch in different places on different size screens, as well as what rooms you're even watching it on. I'm curious as to what else you think is happening in that space.
Yeah, well, I mean, every day, as a content and, content guy, I think what Adam was just saying, that from content making point of view and how do you change the manufacturing system, right, really, and serve this multi-screen, mobile content, right? But as if we talk about the business model, and from content to marketing and to distribution and to data and I think, every day, whatever decision I'm making, I always think, one, who wants to see the content you're making? Two, where they're going to watch it? Three, when they're going to watch it? You have to answer the three questions, right, before you start putting money into, the manufacturing of the content. I think extremely important to, one, to figure out who is our audience, whatever content we're making. Two, we have to figure out, how do you connect the content to him or to her, right? How? So this is about the internet.
Yeah.
Three is about on which device he's going to watch it. Even movie screens, or smart TV screens, or mobiles, or cars, anywhere, right? You have to figure out the location. So to me, content is very much a location-based business. More and more. Before, we only make movies mainly for theaters. Right. So we know perfect for so many years, right? But nowadays, why all these content guys, we're struggling. I agree, we're struggling. Why? Because now the customers' time are all scattered. They don't have time to go to movie theaters. People kept asking me, all right, the Chinese content the movie content is not good enough, that's why the box office is dropping. All right, not growing fast enough. No, I said it's totally wrong. I'm a content guy, and for 20 years, every year, our filmmakers are making progress. The content is actually better. But why the box office is dropping? Reason? Hollywood. Content is better than every year. Technology is better than that, right? But why box office not growing? The same is the key question we have to remember. People just don't have time to go to theaters. Every theater trip, it takes more than 3 hours. Right? We just don't have time because content is too many movies. But which one do I should watch? I don't have time to watch it, but I have time when I go back to my study room and relax on the sofa and turn on my smart TV. That I have time because I get back home 10 o'clock every night. Right? Yeah. And then I can pick whatever movies I want to watch. Or for the young kid, they don't go to bed until 2 o'clock in the morning. But they are wandering around in the city all over the places they can turn on their smartphone and watch a movie or a show. anytime they want it. They want the freedom. So I think for us, the most important question is, how do you make a content and why the content, meaning connect the content to the users and knowing what is the best time and best place for them to watch. That has to come with data, with big data. That's the only way that can really ease our anxiety for the whole industry. So the whole industry is going to be driven by data, customer data.
Right.
I think that's, that's what I call it internet plus.
Yeah. Switching gears a little bit, both of you also have a similarity in that you've worked very closely with two of the biggest filmmakers in the world, certainly in their respective locations. Zizi, you worked very closely with Zhang Yimou, and Adam, you worked very closely with Steven Spielberg. What did you learn from those experiences with those incredible filmmakers, and how do those experiences influence the way that your business has been going now and the choices you make in terms of content?
Tough question. I don't know. I can convince Emo to really, read the data and making movies. But what a coincidence! I think of course, I've been working with Johnny Moore, Sayy Hawk, or those kind of the biggest masters in this film industry. I was me as a filmmaker, or as a producer, or now as a studio boss. My career is very much influenced by all these masters.
Yeah.
So I'd rather to put it in the other way, And the reason that I wanted to work with them is just try to inspire myself, keep going. Okay, to the journey that we just started, right? And these are the guys who really, their movie made a difference of my career. Mm-hmm. Right? So how do I keep my inspiration going? By working with them, really, I got this inspiration. Their passion for content really, pushed me going forward to making content. But the difference, the generation from generation, is that I try to, I've been working with more than 10 young directors. Okay, start from Guo Jingming. Everybody in China knows that I made Tiny Times. Okay, Xiao Shidai. I think that really, Emo and these filmmakers really inspired me to keep making content.
Yeah.
But the difference is that now I can use the platform, use whatever Adam and I, with our specialty, professional, skills, we can really make those young filmmakers to making movies specifically for their generation. Right. To inspire the young kid in a small town. I think that's probably the reason.
Yeah.
To echo what Zizi said, in the case of my experience, my boss was a fan. He loved movies. He loved storytelling. He loved gadgets. He loves video games. He loves television series. He loves theater. He loves music. You cannot consume more entertainment than him, and all he wants to do is express himself and be inspired by young filmmakers and to watch what's happening and not live in a bubble, but really be on the cutting edge, to challenge himself to make new kinds of stories and not to ever stop the audience from guessing what he will do next. And I think when you work with someone who ultimately never loses that wonder in their eye, it's inspiring to be around. It drives companies to come to work every single day because you realize he's not jaded, he's inspired, and that's the key, which is it's a blessing to be able to tell stories for a living. And when someone is able to do it that successfully for so many years and still love it, and it is reflective in the work that they're making, it's a dream to be around that.
Intellectual property IP seems to be such a buzzword these days now, both in Hollywood and in China. And everyone's trying to have their content based on properties, things that are famous in other spaces. How are Chinese studios and Hollywood studios capitalizing on these IP? Do you think it's a trend that will continue?
Well, you want to talk a little bit about the difference between Disney and the other one?
Yeah, we talk a lot about IP, and we were talking at lunch today about the Walt Disney Company, and one of the things Disney has done better than any other company, certainly that we've ever seen, is they focus on their core brands. They really only focus on Disney movies, and when they find something that's in their wheelhouse, they know what audience they're talking to, they know where to find them, they have the movie from the summer movie to talk to their winter audience, they have the winter audience to talk to their spring audience, they have the spring audience to talk to their summer audience, they get them into the ecosystem, and it's a perfect system, at least from afar. But that takes years of really zoning in and the discipline to stay committed to a brand. Having worked on properties that have great sort of history and lots of material in the canon from Transformers or Star Trek, obviously the fan base is critical, but also at the same time, so many of these ideas just have really great, simple hooks to them. Transformers obviously is about this great 1980 cartoon, and there's an incredible canon of material that we were pulling from, but also it's all robots. Disney has this this amazing luxury of great stories that were created, that they're now reinventing and finding new technologies to exploit them and find new ways to take Beauty and the Beast and be able to tell it on a whole new platform and level. But again, it's these ideas they're just really good core ideas. They don't take 15 minutes to explain. Really, from the title whether you've ever seen Beauty and the Beast or you haven't seen Beauty and the Beast. The title says it all. So I think IP, at least from the American perspective, because there's no one recognizes it when it comes in. No one thought the Lego movie would be successful. No one thought a movie based on a Pirates theme park ride at an amusement park would be successful. No one thought a toy, from the 80s would be successful. And so maybe it's because of the fact that there's a fan base that exists there. I think that's the initial kindling wood that starts the fire, but ultimately, I think these ideas have core audiences to them because they know how to find the audience, they know how to activate them, they tap into something very primal. So for the American audience, I think there becomes too much conversation about pre-branded entertainment, and you see a lot of pre-branded movies now not working simply because there's no need for some of them. But when you're really able to have perfect execution, perfect brand discipline, and also really good core ideas that transcend the fan base, then you end up having that trifecta, which is a hard thing to do, but when it works, it's stuff movie legends are made of.
Well, I mean, to echoing what Adam was saying, to a different angle. Really, I think today, if we talk about IP, we should talk about the IP for the internet era. Okay, IP, it's an abbreviation, intellectual property. So, in the internet era, intellectual meaning interactive intellectual, right? And we're all in the social media, time. Without interactive, that IP does not have value. So the property, the second word, is a capital kind of valuation concept. It is very much about this idea how many users that you've been interacting with. when the capital market making an evaluation on the internet company, usually they look at the number, how many users you have, right? So that's an approach, from a capital point of view. How do you evaluate the property, right? So I think the IP for the internet era is very much about, how many fans you have. That's what it's all about. Okay, and we usually in my company we always have a big argument about what is the entrance for the users. Now we're at the CES, so all the hardware guys will say we are the entrance, we're a hard entrance, right? If people use my equipment, then they get into your content. They have to access my hardware first, okay? And then all my application guys, APP guys, they'll say, oh, we are the entrance. Because if you pay for a viewing, you have to open up the APP, right? So we're the entrance. And all the producers or the content guys, they said they are the entrance. Because content is really people wanted to open up the equipment. There's a lot of argument about it. But I would say, from IP point of view, what's really the entrance, there's only one entrance, is the mindsets of this group of fans that they carry on IPs. That's only entrance, right? And if we think about Disney, whatever the concept we say, all right, Pirates and Caribbean. When you hear that word, you start thinking about the content you're gonna go to watch. Where I can watch it? Oh, it's in movie theaters, or maybe it's in. So you start everything. This consumer consumption is very much start with this concept, right? When you hear this concept, it starts drawing his attention and get the memory back in his mindset, and then the opportunity of getting to different access entrance starts. Without that concept, if I don't hear Pirates of the Caribbean, there's no way, And you're not saying, oh, there's a movie in theaters, so I don't go watch the movie. It's impossible. I have to hear this IP, and this IP has to have some memories in my mind. If there's no such a concept there, if you talk about something like I don't even know at all, I'm not gonna open up my devices. Because thinking about from a consumer's point of view, really the IP and the mindsets that hosts that IP is entrance. That's my theory.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's, that plays into the strengths of the company is really this vertical integration and your interaction and production of different products that are within the Internet of Things. How do those products then influence the content that you're creating? And does that change the choices that you're making with the data that you have?
Yeah, I mean, we try to, I think we're going to have this year we're going to do an official announcement of our Leaco's content eco business model, which is very much a vertical model. It's a new one, okay. There's probably the only one in the world, okay. Obviously in China, okay. And BAT's model is very much a streaming-based model, okay. So really their business model is trying to cash on the stream data, the stream users.
Yep.
Okay, they accumulated tons of users and streaming from a streaming platforms. But Leaco's model is very much a vertical model. This business model is more towards IoT, the Internet of Things.
Right.
Okay, and we're hardware manufacturers. So we're on CES too. Okay, we go to CES every year, try to display our hardware development. But every time when we go to the exhibition, we usually will display the way of opening up this equipment, which is from APP, applications. And then, what are you going to see on the equipment? That's our way to. And this year, we're thinking about it. This year, we didn't come to Shanghai. This year, we're thinking about next year. If we go, I have to add on one more piece, which is IP. We will introduce this smartphone, that smartphone, 3 smartphones. Why it's different? It's because this is very much demographic, IP driven. So it becomes a vertical model. You have IP, you have content, you have devices, you have applications, and then everything of that, and you got 3 type of screens, movie screens, maybe and TV screens, and mobile screens, and maybe later on we have a car screens. So all these screens are connected, yes, backed up by the cloud. So cloud is the foundation. Right? So from IP to content to device to application, and then to cloud. This is the vertical version. I'm hoping that this industry, hardware industry, and internet industry, and content industry, and IP industry, we can work together, okay, to create a vertical model, okay, more focused on demographics, focused on the users, not focused on how big we are as a manufacturer, or how big we are as a studio, right? But focus on how do we combine content, device, and application serve for particular demographics. Okay. That's a strength. Hopefully that can strengthen our effort together.
Adam, we were kind of bemoaning the marketing process of Hollywood movies. I know you are definitely someone who likes to shake up these business models. What do you see the changes coming for Hollywood marketing, and what, and now working with these Chinese companies and seeing the way that they market movies, where do you think that marketing process is going?
I don't know. I know that in the global movie market, we're spending more money to reach less people. That the marketplace has opened up and there's so many different specific lanes of entertainment for any given audience, and you have to be everywhere in order to get a movie open. And I think as ZZ talks about it, which is really knowing who your audience is and refining who you're making stories for. You can't really try to make movies all the time for all audiences. You have to be very targeted in terms of making event movies, but for audiences that are underserved. I think marketing in China is a totally different thing, and I'm in awe of it. But in the States, it's probably the biggest challenge that the studios face these days is just the cost of opening a movie.
Yeah. ZZ, do you see kind of where the marketing industry is going in terms of content, or?
Yeah, if you look at smart device, internet, and from a TMT kind of perspective, I think marketing now is going to very much driven by 2 things. One is depth. Yeah. Okay. And content industry is just wasting so much money on wasting, seriously.
Absolutely.
Whatever billboard on street or whatever advertisement put on television, satellite TV, probably 75% of the money is being wasted. Yeah, if not more.
Yeah.
All right. And so it's a serious issue because Adam and I are all in a big theatrical movie industry, and it's very hard for us to make a profit just because there's no way that it's an advertising, meaning that everybody has to know. But how much you're going to spend to let everybody to know this way? It has to do with the desire. I mean, I always think that it's almost very harmful when we try to create box office monsters. It has to do with how do we control our desires. We have to control our desires. Less is more. If we can really market our movie towards the real audience who wanted to watch, use the data, and we save a lot of money, and we don't, I always wanted to say that we should try to kill the box office miracle. That's the philosophy. We wanted to. We can control our desires. We don't need the big box office. Why? We just wanted to serve this group of people well. So they will come back next time. They will make a sequel.
Yeah.
Right? That's enough. That's enough. And I can give you an example. When I was producing Tiny Times, it was all my investors behind me saying, all right, the next one it was a big controversy. Everybody knows, right, in China. And they say, all right, you should sort of soften your edge. Don't be so, use-driven, right? Say something like more common, like value. Okay, so we can draw more audiences. We have a huge debate about when we're making the second one and third ones. Eventually we decided, I don't care about everybody else. We just serve that dispense. That's enough, right? And we're okay. Three movies, and 4 movies. Every one is about 500 minutes. It's almost stable because we only serve that movie. Yeah. But we're fine. And then this is the most profitable sequel that I made. I'm very safe, right? And if I really wanted to, and I mishit it with Lord, his second movie, because I want to say, I see the big director now, so we can use the visual effects and make a big movie. Yeah. We miss the target. So targeting marketing, use big data, knowing where you reach your audience is really the hope to save the industry. That's mine.
I think one of the themes here seems to be that targeted movies narrowly trying to address a certain audience, whether it's in their living room or on their phone or in marketing or in the fans of an IP, it seems like narrowly targeting is really the important thing. So I have to ask with the two of you on this stage, how do you market something to a global audience? How do you market something both to China and to Hollywood? Is it possible? And is it worth it if you can do better by narrowly targeting at these kind of smaller cases?
Stories are stories. Rites of passage are rites of passage. Themes are themes. As long as you're finding ideas that have real commonality to them and you're not trying to be so specific, you can be targeted toward a generation, but talk to a universal global audience. I think that's key, just knowing who's going to be the person that's convincing their friend to go see a movie with them, as opposed to who's going to be the person that wants to watch what you've made, but maybe just wants to consume it by themselves. And it's the big question when you sit to deploy capital to make a production these days is who's going to watch it and where they're going to watch it. And that drives the amount of time and energy that we'll invest in producing.
To me, I try not to ask myself to do too many things at once. I just, working with Adam, it's great. I'm from Chinese film industry and he's from Hollywood, and we work together. And the movies I produce, like Grey Wolf, okay, and I turn that as a very good way to communicate, learning from each other. Okay, and I'm not really have such a big appetite. Every movie I make has to, take the same approach. But locally, for local film industry, I think it has to be. Even for Hollywood, I think it has to be. But global movie making, let's take it as a way of learning and open up the mind and communicating first as that person.
Right. Well, I think that's all the time we have. I wanted to thank everyone for showing up today and coming out. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, ZZ, for being here and expressing all of your wisdom. This has been really helpful and great. Thanks so much.
Thank you.